Hello and welcome back to the
Afternoon,
podcast.
morning. What time is it?
Good morning, mate.
It's morning. Well, they
Probably
won't.
feels like
They could be
afternoon.
watching it at
Yeah,
midnight.
it could be any time, but it's basically afternoon for you because you've just told me you've been up since 4:30 in the morning.
I have walking the dog. Yeah,
Yeah.
before it gets too rainy. I took him out yesterday morning, and it was just
Can we talk about the rain? What the fuck's happening, by the way?
it's dog shit in it.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah,
Like the weather is shocking. It's
yeah.
maybe August, right? And it's just rained for the last 2 weeks.
We had some nice weather.
3 weeks.
We in like too hot, to be honest, in May. Couldn't
It
deal
was,
with
to be
it.
fair, it was too
I
hot.
mean, you can never win because we're going to complain about the weather
Brits,
regardless.
It's either too hot, too cold, or too
Yeah,
rainy.
no, it has been terrible though, and it is difficult because, like, obviously, to bring it around to fitness, if you need to go and get a certain amount of steps in, it does make it miserable and like.
It does.
But just got to do it anyway. You've
Gotta
got a
do
coat
it.
on, unless it's thunderstorming or it's like a monsoon, which, to be fair, it has been. We started getting a leak in our roof.
I
All the
did
rain.
You mentioned that last time.
That was a different problem with the roof that apparently got fixed. And now, since all this rain, we've started having the leak come through the roof. So we've got in touch with them. And actually, they're meant to be ringing me at any point. If I break off during this podcast, it's to take a call from the
Sort your
management
roof
company
out.
to sort the roof out.
Sort your leaky roof
Absolutely
out.
taking the piss with it.
I'm assuming the landlord sorts that.
Well, no, so it's not. We don't have a landlord, but
Right.
there's a management company for the building.
Okay, right.
And they own the building, so their responsibility is the roof because we're on the top floor, so it's their responsibility to fix that, and they're not doing a great job.
Yeah, the last thing you want right now is a leaky roof.
Yeah, so not ideal. So if the rain could kindly fuck off, that would be lovely.
We've been all right today. I was thinking because I've come out in shorts and a t-shirt, even bring a coat today.
Yeah,
I've got to walk 10 minutes after this to the gym down the road, so hopefully it doesn't fucking piss it down.
Yeah, it's fine.
But yeah, welcome back. Obviously I'm Jacob. He's Big Dave.
Is that what we're going with now? Biblical name.
Yeah,
And we
yeah,
are
very biblical.
here to spread the message of the good Lord.
Yeah.
No, reps for Jesus. Have you ever seen those videos?
I've seen
There's a guy on TikTok that does them who like preaches whilst he's training. It's years ago now. I've not seen it for a long time, but it just reminded me.
Reps for Jesus. I like
Yeah.
it.
Anyway,
Are we here to talk about
balance.
David?
Balance.
Balance, Jacob. Yeah. So, yeah, balance. As in, not like can you balance on one foot or anything. Like balance in your life and balance with your fitness and how to find balance with things like your physique and having a normal life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think it's something that people struggle with, and it's something that I personally used to struggle with, and I'm not gonna lie, that occasionally I probably still do as well. Still, still need to kind of work, just certain things that you need to work out there, and especially recently with having a little one, that's been again trying to find that balance between things has changed again. The dynamics of that changed a little bit, but yeah, it's a big one. So for example, a lot of my clients, they come to me and they're generally people who do enjoy a bit of a drink at the weekend and they like to have a social life and, ultimately still see results at the same time or get results. So I think something that I have to speak to people about a lot is how we're going to get you to that point of managing all of that. And the brutal reality is it's not brutal. It's far from it. Fucking hell, sounds a bit harsh. But no, the reality of it is that you probably need to go through a phase of not having a shit ton of balance to then long term have that balance back.
Yeah. You're never going to get it right. Like you're never going to be able to just find that balance sweet spot straight from the off. You need to have that sense of going more skewed towards one end, like not being balanced, whether it's with fitness, whether it's with work, whatever it is. Obviously, like everyone talks about like a work-life balance sort of thing. And it's like, especially if you're self-employed, obviously like for us, if we want a decent work-life balance, you've got to work to build that up and then you can get that balance back.
Yeah.
I don't, you can't just have it from the start.
No, you can't. And it's the same with your fat loss and things. So if you've got a goal of fat loss, the chances are you've probably had too much balance. And I mean that in the nicest possible way. Do you know what I mean? Like you've probably had too much balance, which is the reason that you need to restrict on the balance side of things. So yeah, listen, I think it's really important. And this is, for me especially, I know that you're less so enjoy a bit at the weekend than me, but obviously I'll have other interests and things and it's all important. It's something that I struggled with for years because I would be quite restrictive with my nutrition for, during the week. I'd then go and piss it up the wall at the weekend, getting smashed, and then, kind of eating my feelings on a Sunday. And I had too much balance, essentially, to actually get anywhere with things. And it's something that I had to figure out, and it's something that I do help my clients figure out as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that, you know, it's something we're going to talk about in a little bit more detail, but I'm assuming you get similar kind of things with your clients.
Yeah, it's like it's sort of getting that message across that, okay, short term, if for example we've got a bit of weight to lose, or especially if they've got like, it's a separate issue, but if they're doing like a shoot or something, it's like, all right, short term we're probably not going to have loads of balance. We are going to have to be a little bit more, put your time into fitness, put your time into your nutrition, everything like that. But that is with the goal of long-term balance. Like, it isn't, this is going to be your priority now and forever.
And I think that's why you've got to break it down for people in that way as well, so that they do understand. And quite often I'll find myself saying in check-ins, listen, just remember this isn't forever. You know, what we're doing right now isn't forever. Me and you are both dieting at the moment. We have less balance with things.
Yeah.
You know, we are having to moderate what we're doing at the weekends. I went out at the weekend, but I've very much moderated what I would in comparison to what
Looked nice, did that Sunday. Where was that, in Manchester?
It's fucking mega, mate. Yeah, it's not far from here. It's called The Refuge. Unbelievable roast dinner.
It did look very
But
nice.
again, you know, the thing is, like, I had almost I'd been so on point all week. And, you know, someone on the outside might go, well, how are you in shape and you're eating a roast dinner? And it's like, well, you're not seeing like the other 6 days of damn near perfection with my macro steps training. You know what I mean? Like, so it's not like I've just fucking eaten what I wanted all week, then gone for a roast dinner and stayed in shape. That's not what's happened. And I think that Instagram brings that false sense of reality as well, especially with like these influencers and stuff like that. Like, you see them sat there with a beer in Marbella or whatever, and they're like, they're so lucky. And it's like, well, the chances are they're probably enhanced anyway, but the chances are they've spent.
The problem is, it's a fine line, isn't it? So if you take someone who's just a normal person who's like, I want to lose a bit of weight, but I don't want to sacrifice my life, I want to have balance with it. And it's sort of like, right, potentially you can do that, but that balance is such a fine line, because your balance might be, I'm happy to give it a bit more through the week, but then on the weekend I want to relax, I want to go and have a few drinks, I want to get a takeaway, whatever it is. And again, maybe you can make that work. Your results won't come as quick. You can maybe make that work, but it's so easy for that to get out of hand, and for that one drink to become 2, to become 3, 4, 5, for that one meal out to then roll into the next morning feeling like shit, ordering a takeaway or ordering a Macca's for breakfast, spending the day on the sofa, and then very quickly you're not balanced because it's gone completely out of hand.
You are balanced, but your balance is off.
Well,
you know, in comparison, in line with what your goals are.
Yeah, and very quickly, you're not going to get that result. Whereas if you get into shape first, that balance is so much easier to have, because if that does happen, and it probably will, it's not going to have as big an impact. Yeah. If you're already in shape, having a couple of days where you're like, fucking hell, that got out of hand, like they were not as good as they should have been, well, it's all right. Like, it's not going to change anything. Like, just get back to normal. You're absolutely fine. And that is a bit more, that's the balance that you can sort of deal with. Whereas if you're not in that shape to begin with, it's going to have a bigger impact.
Yeah, and there's different ways to go about this. So, for example, if a client comes in and they say, one of my things is that I do enjoy to go out for a few beers on a Saturday night. Our kind of, I would imagine you'll be very similar. I'll say, okay, wicked. Well, we can include that, but you just have to understand that your rate of loss might be very different to someone else's who's willing to maybe sacrifice that. If that's something you're not willing to sacrifice, that's also completely fine, by the way. Like, it's not an issue. Maybe we moderate that Saturday night out a bit more than what we normally would. But it's understanding that's, you have to understand that will affect your progress to a certain extent. And I think that, for people coming into coaching, I've just had a guy start, and he's a top lad, and I know he enjoys a beer and things. And I've just said to him, listen, for the next 12 weeks, we're not going to knock it on the head, of course not, but we're going to prioritize the events which really mean something to you. So, for example, he had a gender reveal at the weekend for his second baby. I was like, well, that's an occasion that you want to have the balance. And then in that particular occasion, your balance goes more towards enjoying time with family and having a few drinks, because that's what you really want to do. And I completely get it. But the standard Friday night trip to the pub with your mates and things, that's the stuff that we remove a little bit of balance from, And I've said for the next 12 weeks, if we commit to this fat loss phase and we get it done, I promise you, after that, we will start, once you're in a place where you're really lean, you're really happy, you're really confident, I promise you, once we start to reverse your calories, we give you more freedom and flexibility with life, you will get that balance back, and you'll understand how to maintain the results you've got with more balance. But you do have to go through that period of time where there's not as much balance to get the balance.
It just
We're saying balance a lot here.
You are saying balance a lot. It just comes down to what you want and how far you want to take it. Like, you can literally watch or listen to any podcast with any, like CEO, self-made millionaire, anyone who's in ridiculous shape, and they might talk a lot where they are at that point about trying to establish a balance, and you might look at them and be like, well, they're in great shape and they're now having balance, so it should be doable, but it's not. Like, if you listen to them actually talk about it, they will have had a hell of a long time where it will have just been work, or train.
Yep.
Pushing towards that, very unbalanced. They've got that result, and then it's like, okay, now we need to claw that back in. And like, obviously you don't have to go to that extreme.
No.
It depends how far you want to take it.
Yeah.
But you need to be willing to be like, okay, I need to accept that for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 months, whatever it is, depending how far you want to take it, it's not going to be balanced.
It's not.
I'm going to get that result, and then I'm going to balance it out, because it's so much easier to maintain.
Yeah. And we've just had, for example, we've just done the photo shoot last month, right? And for a period of time, the guys and girls who were doing the photo shoot, they didn't have much balance.
Yeah.
Like we'll just be completely honest about it, because they made a commitment to challenge themselves to get themselves into the best condition they've ever been in, etc. So the balance was less so. It's not completely gone, but it was much less, and we were being maybe a little bit more restrictive for a period of time. Now we're a month, 6 weeks on. The chances are, all of those people, especially the ones that are still being coached, I know the ones that I've got, we've reintroduced balance. Like, they're going out on the weekends now. They're having a bit more freedom, flexibility, and they're still maintaining condition.
Yeah, and I think this is the benefit of going to, I don't want to say an extreme, certainly not an unhealthy extreme, but something like that. Going past the point that you were originally aiming to get to. The benefit of doing that is it gives you perspective. So I had a client who came on board. He was like, I want to lose 10 kilos. I was like, cool, we'll do that. He wanted to lose 10 kilos, and then obviously he wanted to maintain having lost 10 kilos. Now, the problem with that is he then has to keep up to his best week that he has, the stuff that he has to do to lose that weight to get to 10 kilos. To a large degree, he now has to keep that routine up. And that's, for him, that's the hardest it's ever been, right? That's the most he's ever had to do in terms of his routine, whether it's steps, training, cardio, dieting. And obviously he'll go into maintenance, but he has to maintain that now to maintain that loss. Whereas he then actually turned around and was like, actually, I think I want to do a shoot. Can we take this a bit further? We took it further. I think he lost like 20 odd kilos. And now for him, maintaining that original 10 kilo loss is so much easier, because he's like, well, actually, I went to this level, which was so much further on than just losing the initial 10 kilos. And now in order for me to just maintain the initial 10 kilos I've lost, I actually don't even need to do half as much as what I have been doing. And I know that I'm able to do.
Yeah.
And it just gives you that sort of perspective of balance becomes easier when you know what you're capable and how far you're capable of doing,
100%.
or how much you're capable of doing.
Yeah, 100%. And, again, maintenance, I saw a fucking shocking stat yesterday. Like, I think something like 80 or 90% of people within 5 years put all their weight back on. And it's probably because...
I think it's 85% within the first year.
Yeah.
It's 90% within the second year, and then it's 95% within the third year.
Which is mental.
So it's essentially 5% success rate for long-term diets.
Which is crazy. When you think about it, that's crazy,
But that's more relative to your majority more fad diets.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, of course. I think that was like, I'm not going to name any, but yeah, that absolutely is more kind of fad. But what we try and do with our clients is get them to a point where they understand that they're not going to potentially maintain the condition we've got them into year round, because that's also not realistic. Like, the coach, you guys aren't going to be in that condition year round. We're not in that kind of condition year round. It's not, it's important that isn't life at the same time. But you have to come away from that in the correct manner, and you have to know how to reintroduce your whatever your things are, your socials, your meals out. And if you do that properly, like maintaining it long term and avoiding being one of those stats, is going to be way, way easier.
Yeah, and I think it's understanding balance isn't like a fixed point. So like maintenance, you said, right, if you were 80 kilos and you were like, I want to drop 10 kilos and I want to maintain 70 kilos, it's sort of understanding that, okay, well, you maintaining 70 kilos realistically is going to look like some weeks you might be 69, some weeks you might be 71, 72.
I
like,
think it's
depending
like
on what you've
2-3
got.
kilo either way.
It's going to fluctuate between
Yeah.
those points, but that is maintenance of 70 kilos. It's the same thing with balance. Like if you want to maintain a balance of training harder through the week and then relaxing on the weekend, well, some weeks you might not get to the gym quite as much and you might have an extra event on. Some weeks you might have nothing on and you'll push a little bit harder to make up for the weeks that you didn't have as much on. Over the month, that's still balance. So it's not like this perfect model or this definitive point of this is what I need to do every single week to be balanced. It's like, no, some weeks it'll be a little bit
Balance
more.
is a little different on
Some
a
weeks it'll be a
week-to-week
little bit
basis.
less. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, even like for myself, so if I go to the match and have a few beers at the weekend, like I know for a fact, even when this is when I'm trying to maintain weight, for example, I'm not trying to diet, but I know for a fact that I will just kind of, I won't drop things too much during the week, but I'll be a little bit tighter. I'll be a little bit kind of moderate things a little bit more during the week, and knowing the fact that I'm probably going to have a little bit more freedom and fun at the weekend. Ultimately, that means I've not gained, I've not lost. I've just been, you know, it's just been a nice kind of balanced week.
Yeah.
But it takes time to get that. You know, it
does.
doesn't happen overnight. And balance, I think balance is genuinely, and those stats prove it, is the one thing that people really, really struggle with.
Yeah.
You know, you can probably get yourself dialed in for a fat loss phase or whatever it might be, but actually coming away for it and doing it properly is tough.
Yeah. It is. It's just, like I said, have that perception, be willing to push past your original goal because it gives you that perspective of maintaining it, which is going to be much easier. You don't have to do that, but I personally think it does make life a little bit easier. If you're capable, if you're capable of pushing past it and doing a bit more, then when you are maintaining your original goal, you don't have to do quite as much. It feels much easier.
Yeah.
It's not that bad. Do you know all that's been going through my head through this episode? You ever seen Max and Paddy? Do you ever used to watch that?
Yeah.
You know the bit where Max is teaching Paddy to dance, and it's to Let's Hear It for the Boys. He's dancing on that barrel and he's just saying balance and he slips. That's all that's been going through. We're going to have to, when we put this on the socials, I am clipping that. You know I'm clipping that in at some point. That's all that's been going through my head.
Yeah. That's Max and Paddy was brilliant, wasn't it?
It was so good. They did 2 seasons, didn't they?
Was that all it was?
2 seasons.
Phoenix
Nights was 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Max and Paddy was 2 seasons.
Right, okay.
Was
it all part of the same thing?
No, well, it's same characters, but it's a separate thing.
Oh, right.
So they did Phoenix Nights first.
Okay.
And then
because Phoenix Nights is what I'm thinking of, right?
Phoenix Nights has Max and Paddy in because they're the bouncers of the club.
Yes.
This has gone so far off topic, but it's a good topic. Phoenix Nights has Max and Paddy as the bouncers of the Phoenix.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know how long after, they did a spin-off series of just Max. Have you not seen?
No,
mate.
I haven't.
Oh. Because
I've only seen Phoenix Nights.
Oh, you're in for a treat.
Brilliant. But
so it literally just follows Max and Paddy go off and do their own thing. They just go. They've got like a mobile caravan, and they just go off and do their own thing. There's only 2 seasons. There's an episode in it where he's teaching Paddy to dance.
Right. Okay.
Right. I can't believe you've not seen that.
I've not seen it.
You'll see it, and then all you'll be able to think about is balance.
But yeah, no. Just to kind of conclude on that, then I think, like you say, if you are someone who wants to find that balance, I completely get it. It's something that I've always wanted to do. It's something that I really struggled to do when I was younger, especially. And again, like I say, balance has changed.
It'll change over time. Like you said, like with Thea now, your balance is different to what it was 2 years ago.
Very, very different.
So
now it's like balancing family life a little bit more and things.
Don't be set to one fixed idea of what balance is.
No, don't. But also at the same time, do understand that if you have got a weight loss goal, if you have got a fat loss goal, if you have got something that you're after, then you probably will, no, not probably, you will need to go through a phase where balance is more in the direction of concentrating on yourself. And long term, it will come back.
Yeah.
But it's mega important. And like I say, it's something that we relate to our clients all the time. And it is something that I think it's the thing that people struggle the most to grasp.
Yeah, I think just to finish on like a way I'll put it across to clients sometimes to try and help them understand, it's like, I'll say, okay, imagine that your goal, what we're doing now, is the exact same as you're going for a promotion at work. I was like, and say that it's between you and one other person, and you're right now wanting balance. You're the person that's only going to show up at 9. You're going to leave as soon as 5 o'clock comes around. You're not doing anything outside of work, and that's all you're going to do because that's all you're paid to do. The other person is showing up a little bit earlier. They're working a little bit later. They're doing a little bit of extra work when they go home. It's not balanced, but who do you think is going to get the promotion?
Yeah.
I was like, if you want that result short term, you're gonna have to be the second person.
It's the same, like you mentioned it before, same with like business and maybe even us to a certain extent with coaching and things. Like sometimes I'm just like completely work focused and I've got no real
100%.
balance.
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
other times I'm like, you know what, this has gone too far. Like I just need to chill out a
Yeah.
bit and like
Yeah.
spend some time with the family and things. Yeah, it's just it's a tough one, but it's again important. If you're going to grow your business, you
Yeah.
you work harder on it for a bit. It's that
Yeah.
simple, don't you? You don't have as much balance.
Yeah.
So,
Right. Well, we'll go, and we're gonna go watch Max and Paddy.
balance.
See you in the next one.